Asian here. Welcome to my review of Superman. Now, this movie requires me to explain to you my Superman fandom and my fandom of the past DCEU. So I think Man of Steel is one of the best, if not the best, in that universe. Now, Zack Snyder's Justice League is obviously with that, in my opinion, but Man of Steel, before that even came out, I thought it was honestly the best of the movies that we had gotten so far. And I always try to explain to people that the reason I feel that way is because it was a more contained story. It wasn't focusing on setting up a universe. It was focusing on telling a Superman origin story. And I really like that about that film, among many reasons. That is the film that made me a Superman fan. I didn't even see it in theaters. That's how little of a Superman fan I was. I had seen Superman Returns quite often, actually, growing up. But I was never really head over heels for it. So when Man of Steel came out, I didn't even see it, and that's a damn shame because not only did we not get Man of Steel 2, but we also didn't get a continuation of this universe. And so I think it's a damn shame that I did not see Man of Steel in theaters, but it did make me a Superman fan. So that's what you have to understand about me. I'm a very casual Superman fan. I really love Man of Steel to this day. And there were many cinematic heartbreaks with not having the DCEU. But I must accept reality, and the DCEU is here. So did this movie make me hopeful for the DCU as Creature Commandos had already done? And does this movie strengthen my Superman fandom? And honestly, I'd say the answer is yes. This movie isn't without its critiques, but overall, I really had a good time with this movie, and sometimes an even great time with this film. But one thing that I really loved in this movie is the fact that the central conflict of Superman's character starts out within the first 20 minutes of the movie. And that honestly impressed me because usually it's used for dramatic effect about halfway through the movie or somewhere in the third act, but no, it happens in the first 20 minutes. And I sat there and I felt really shocked at how this movie started and how this universe started. It starts right in the thick of it. Lex Luthor is doing his thing, Superman's doing his thing, and it sets up this universe perfectly with 3 sentences. And I think the way that they constructed them was actually pretty clever. Within a few seconds of this universe and this film, I felt like I understood where metahumans were in this universe. What place do they have in this universe? Where Man of Steel, it was really Superman exists. Now all of a sudden, all of these metahumans are starting to come out into the woodwork. No, all of the metahumans have existed for thousands of years. But right at the beginning of this movie, I understand the metahumans' place in this world, and that Superman has been called the strongest metahuman. So objectively, I thought that was one of the best parts about this movie, is the fact that the central conflict of Superman and Lex Luthor starts right away. So getting to David Corenswet as Superman. Now, I had seen this actor before in Pearl, the prequel to X, and I really enjoyed the role that he had in that film. And so when he was announced as Superman, I was like, oh, he's very good looking. I'm sure he's going to be a really good Superman. I would even go as far as to say he's a great Superman. Whichever side of the spectrum you're on in terms of Superman actors, I just think he's a great one. He was charismatic, he was very passionate about what he was doing. You see an interview with Lois Lane and Superman very early on, and it explains exactly to you what Superman's mindset is and how maybe the rest of the world views him. And I honestly really liked the suit, even honestly from the beginning, honestly. I really think it has that classic look to it, and seeing it now in action in the film, I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, Superman's colors just pop and are just vibrant. And that's one of the other positives about this movie, is the colors are very vibrant. But I really felt David Corenswet's portrayal of the character was very realistic. It was very believable. And I absolutely bought him as Superman. The voice, his mannerisms, the way he portrays himself, the writing, I mean, just everything about this character. As a casual Superman fan, it just spoke to me. If people didn't like how doom and gloom Henry Cavill's version was, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't like this version of Superman. But no, generally speaking, as a casual Superman fan, I really enjoy David Corenswet's version of Superman, and I think kids who go see this film will call him their Superman. But how are the other characters? So the characters at the Daily Planet. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. I thought she was a very good, no-nonsense, get-to-the-fact reporter. And again, it establishes who her character is when she interviews Superman in the first few minutes of the film. And I really thought structurally that was a good idea, because I understood where Lois Lane was coming from. As someone who's been very critical of the media the past couple of years, I honestly was wondering how they were going to portray Lois Lane, and they portrayed her very well. And I honestly felt like she had a lot more to do in this one movie than the DCEU's version of Lois Lane honestly ever did. Their relationship starts right off the bat, it cuts through the clutter, and she knows his identity. And I just think overall that was a better choice to make. And I just thought she had a lot to do in this film, and I really enjoyed her character. She was not annoying at all. And I really loved Nicholas Hoult in films like Nosferatu, The Menu, Renfield. I thought he was really good in those movies, and I could not wait to see what he was going to do with Lex Luthor. And I gotta say, as someone who also doesn't really know that much about Lex Luthor and hasn't really seen that much things that he's been in, yes, I'm being serious about that, I really thought this version of the character was very interesting. I thought the way that the movie started, he had already concocted a plan and he was executing that plan. They proved very early on why he's going to be a formidable foe for Superman in this film and in the future. I really liked his calm, methodical ways, and when he did get hilariously angry at certain parts in this movie, I just viewed it as karma, so I thought it was very entertaining. Because overall, I think Lex Luthor's plan at least makes sense on paper, and you can understand it when you're watching in the film. He did seem like a bit of a hater towards Superman. I felt like there wasn't really any personal reason as to why he hated Superman. But generally speaking, I think the way that he went about his plan I thought was actually pretty good, and it was not as confusing as, say, Batman v Superman was. And I was okay with that portrayal, but I absolutely would rather have a portrayal like this. Definitely much more calm and methodical. Yes, he gets pissed off, but he gets pissed off when his plans fail, and a lot of his plans honestly do not fail. So I enjoyed his version of Lex Luthor to David Corenswet's Superman. But I think starting out the movie with Lex Luthor doing his thing really helped with the pacing of this film, which was also really good. Even when there is downtime in the film, I never ever felt like the movie dragged. Ever. And how was the action in this movie? As someone who really enjoys Henry Cavill's Superman's action in his movies, I really enjoyed the action in this movie. It's definitely more sparse. A lot of it is at the end of the film, but I really enjoyed it overall. I really don't think that the movie dragged at all with its action scenes and with its downtime. I thought the action was shot really well enough. Now, I could do with some more wide shots, but generally speaking, I could see what was going on and understand everything that was going on in the action scenes. I thought Mr. Terrific had a really good one. And the CGI really isn't bad in the movie. It looks a little funny in some spots, but otherwise it still looked really cool. And there were definitely moments that I got really excited for what was about to happen in this film. I'm telling you guys, there were moments in here where I was just getting really excited for what I was about to see, and it did not fail. And I would say I like the action in this movie maybe a little bit more than Man of Steel. It's a lot more spread out, it's a lot easier to follow, and honestly, there's a lot more of it, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed Mr. Terrific. He definitely has the most amount of screen time, but I really don't know anything about him except his name and some of his abilities, and that cool-ass action scene that I was talking about earlier. That's really it. And so when I see a movie like this, I just wanted to explain who characters are, especially ones that most people have probably never heard of, myself included. But as I said, that's really my only main critique with the film. The rest of it's just nitpicky. There's obviously politics in here. I know James Gunn made a controversial statement, whatever. I just wanted a good movie, a good Superman movie, and a good start to this universe. And I definitely got that. But politics is definitely in here. And honestly, for me personally, this is how I see politics in film. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but here's how I see it. If politics is meant to serve the story, I mean, look at Man of Steel, okay? There's a lot of politics in that too. Is Superman good? Is he bad? Do we even need Superman? And there's that courtroom scene that ends amazingly. So if politics feeds into the story, makes it a good story, and you're able to execute it well enough, I can roll with it. It's when you throw it in my face that just gets a little bit annoying. And that does happen twice, maybe 3 times in this film, but it's not a detriment to the film whatsoever. It's just the politics are in here. For the most part, I do think it helps the story and feeds into the story, but there's just moments where it's just kind of thrown in my face, and I just don't need that. In the end, I had a really good time, sometimes even a great time with this film. I thought the characters were very funny and very compelling, even though I didn't really know some of them. And the acting all around was very fantastic. I mean, it was fantastic all over the board, and I cannot wait to see more of these characters in the future, because we're definitely getting more. But honestly, I like the character of Superman even more now, and I cannot wait to see what the rest of the DCU has in store for us after this, and Creature Commandos, which, as I said, I also really enjoyed. So this is the kickoff to the DCU, and for me, it did not disappoint. To me, this is absolutely worth owning, and I'm going to give Superman an A-. Yes, I really did enjoy this movie, and I had a good time with this film, and objectively, I do think it is a great Superman movie and a great start to the DCU. There's my review for Superman. We're definitely getting more in the future in this universe. Did you guys like or dislike this film? And how much and why? Was this a satisfying or not satisfying start to the DCU? Please, let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Well, that's all I got for this one, guys. This is Haunted by Horror. I'm Kyle Obedient, Agent